Hello beautiful people of the world, welcome to my channel. My name is Shea and today's video is my 41-week pregnancy update. What the heck, I'm 41 weeks, I have never been this pregnant and I never thought I would be this pregnant before because my first pregnancy I had my daughter on her due date. So I did not anticipate this happening. I don't know why. I thought they would have this baby early. Joke's on me, I did not. So let's get right into what happened this week. I'm gonna start off with a belly shot. So here's my belly shot right here, what I look like at 41 weeks. And kind of a lot happened this week. So first things first, we're gonna get into the couple of symptoms that I've been having this week, and then we will get into the rest. So the first one is definitely I've been extremely exhausted. When you're 41 weeks pregnant, you are just done being pregnant. It's uncomfortable, everything hurts to move around, and it's just not fun, let's say. Just in general, even with this prescription, the past few weeks, especially this week, I have had such bad nausea and throwing up every day. Throughout the night, I get up, I'm nauseous, I'm throwing up. When I wake up in the morning, I'm throwing up like crazy. You go to the bathroom a lot when you're close to labor, if you know what I mean. And I don't just mean peeing. You go to the washroom a lot, and that's just your body like clearing everything out. But it's really annoying too. So those are the couple of symptoms that I have personally been experiencing, especially this past week. And lastly, something that is expected is a lot of cramping. So menstrual like cramping, as well as just contractions in general. Last night I was having them 10 minutes apart, and then they just fade away when I fall asleep. So nothing progressive. I did go to my doctor at 40 weeks exactly, and I will leave that video down below so you can hear what happened there. But essentially I was fully closed and my cervix was soft but like not tilted properly, so it didn't look like labor was happening anytime soon. So at that appointment, she scheduled me for 1 week from that day, which was yesterday now. At my 41-week mark, I had to go in for an ultrasound and a non-stress test on the baby to make sure that the baby was okay and good to stay in there until I was able to get induced. So where I live, they induce you, or they start the induction process at 10 days overdue. And I'll go into more of what kind of is going to go on in a few minutes here, but pretty much I went in yesterday for my ultrasound and she said that baby was head down, which is awesome because my previous baby was breech, so whew, we're so glad about that. Baby was facing the right way, and she said the baby is very low, like the baby is there. So it looks like it's just my body, like my cervix, that is deciding like, nope, I'm not going to dilate and do this. So a little frustrating because everyone jokes like, oh, the baby's not ready, but joke's on me, the baby is ready. It's just me that's not. I'm glad that the baby's doing good. The fluid levels were really great. So they said like, you have no problem continuing. Your placenta looks good, yada, yada, yada. It was a super quick ultrasound. Then they sent me up to the labor and delivery unit so that I could do a non-stress test on the baby and just checks the heart rate and make sure the baby's okay. So I was hooked up for about half an hour and they just monitored the heart rate, and I pushed a button every time the baby moved, and then they said that looks perfect and baby looks very happy. During my non-stress test, I had a nurse sit with me and she explained every little bit of detail about an induction and the process of it. I am very intimidated about the situation. I have been freaking out and like stressed about this induction because it is literally the complete opposite of what I want. I want a fully unmedicated birth, and an induction really kind of prohibits that, or I don't know if that's the right word, but it kind of just puts like a oomph in the way. So she did say I still have a 50% chance of having the baby before my induction. So that's in 3 days as of yesterday, but now my induction is 2 days away. It's Friday and my induction's on Sunday. So she said I still have a 50% chance. She gave me some homework. This is gonna be TMI, so if you know me personally, just click out. Anyways, so the first thing was obviously just drinking more water. So she said drink 8 glasses of water a day minimum, and I definitely haven't been doing that lately, and I've been having like coffee more so. So she just said like definitely make sure you're drinking like at least 8 glasses of water, because your body can't contract properly if you're not drinking enough water, if it's not hydrated, and it needs to flush out all the things from the system, from the baby and all this stuff. So that is why. And the second thing was she's like, go home and have sex. And last week, my last appointment, my doctor said that too, and the nurse said that too. And I'm gonna be honest with you, like when you're 41 weeks pregnant, that is like the last thing on your mind. Well, maybe not for you, but for me, it's the last thing on my mind. I'm already uncomfortable, I'm grumpy, I have mood swings, like I am just not interested in that. But so last week, obviously, like clearly nothing happened. And yesterday we were like, okay, enough is enough. Like we don't want to get induced. no shame for anyone that gets an induction. I understand sometimes it is medically necessary, or sometimes people choose to do it, and that is 100% fine. But for me and my own birth plan, that is not part of my birth plan. Sorry, there's a motorbike going by. So we were like, okay, we'll try it, whatever. And she was telling me like specifically what to do, how to do it. And she's like, make sure you lay down after and don't get up for like 20 to 30 minutes, which I don't know why I didn't think about that. Like normally she said people will just stand up and go to the bathroom because you're pregnant, you gotta pee, and then everything comes out. And you really want the semen to bathe the cervix, she said. Just that whole sentence was very weird. Anyways, so that is what we tried yesterday, I guess, and we'll see what happens. But anyways, that was a little bit of TMI, I'm sorry, but this is a pregnancy update, and I wanted to give it to you in case you're in the same situation that I am. So that was my homework, stuff to do, literally, until my induction. How the induction is going to work is, she told me on induction day, which is 10 days overdue, at 6:45 in the morning, I give the labor and delivery ward a call and I say like, hey, my name is this and I am scheduled for an induction today. When can I come in? And then they have a board where they put your name up. She did say I'm very low priority because I'm healthy, I'm young, the baby's healthy, and there's other people that will take precedence. So if someone comes in that's 38 weeks or 39 weeks, for example, and she has high blood pressure or anything, I get bumped down and she gets put above me. And I'm okay with that because obviously if someone medically needs help more than me, then 100%. But part of me is a little, there's a really weird bird up there. Part of me is a little frustrated because it's like, oh man, I just want this to be done and over with. And I was naive and I was under the impression that an induction was like I would go in on Sunday and have the baby on Sunday. That's what I thought. And my sister had an induction, she had the baby the same day. Well, the next morning at like 4 in the morning, but I think she started her induction at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and then she had her baby like 13 hours later or something. So for me, I thought it was like a one-day thing, like by the Monday I'd have the baby, and she let me know that on average an induction where I live, I guess, I don't know about where you live, but the way that they do an induction here, on average it takes about 3 days until you have the baby. So how they do it where I live in this part of Canada, it's a case-by-case basis. So you go in, they're going to do a non-stress test on the baby. Once they decide that it's time for you to come in and schedule a time for you to come in, and if everything looks good, then they're going to check your cervix. And if you, depending on if you're dilated, if your cervix is soft, what's going on there, if you're having contractions, is what they will do. So there's kind of 4 options, they said. The 2 are the vaginal ones for like dilation and cervix. So Cervidil, that sounds like the one that they're going to do on me, but not 100% sure yet. And the bulb catheter that gets inserted, and essentially it helps you like soften your cervix and it's supposed to help you dilate. And both of those things in Canada, in this part that I live in, they put it in and then they send you home. And I'm gonna put a disclaimer because my sister, for example, she went in, and because they wanted to monitor her little baby, they actually kept her to monitor the baby and make sure baby wasn't getting stressed out. For me, in my situation, they are just going to insert it in, monitor the baby, I think for like 20-30 minutes, and then they're sending me home for the night. And they said if I go into labor overnight, then awesome. If not, I have to call again the next morning at 6:45, wait for them to say there's a time for me to come in, get checked, see how far along the process has gone, and then either get like another form, a whole different form of something put in, like Pitocin or oxytocin, which are the 2 things they offer here, or get like another, I guess, Cervidil put in or another catheter put in and try again. She did say with the catheter, it dilates you to a 3 or a 4, and then the catheter falls out, and then you can go in and get your water broken, and then labor will start. So that's kind of what happens there. Now, we'll see. I really want to avoid any Pitocin or oxytocin. Just my personal preference. I'm intimidated by it. I don't want to be hooked up to an IV. It is just not part of my plan. I understand if it needs to happen, it needs to happen. And I do know it's not the end of the world if it does happen, but it is just something that I really want to try to avoid if possible. So I'm really hoping they do the Cervidil with me and that it works properly and I just start dilating and then my body does what it needs to. She did mention that because my daughter's labor was very quick, once I was in active labor, I went in, it was about 8 o'clock at night and I was just before 4 centimeters dilated, so just before active labor, and I ended up delivering her at 11:58 p.m. And not that that's like super duper fast and unheard of, but for a first baby, that's what, 9, 10, 11, less than 4 hours of active labor. Whereas they told me it would be days and days. So that was something they said, normally with your second, you can cut that time in half. That's 2 hours. So she's saying once you get to about a 4, like you're going, like it's chugging along, it's gonna be pretty fast. So we just have to get me to that point and then my body will take over, hopefully. And we'll see what happens. Every birth situation is different. It could be totally like days and days. It could be the same day. I could go into birth naturally before then. So we will see about that. I did talk to her because the reason I am intimidated about an induction is in other countries that I hear a lot. I talk to a lot of mamas from the States, and in a lot of other countries that I've heard about, doctors are kind of more pushing an induction, and then they'll put you on like Pitocin or something. And I've heard from a lot of mamas that the baby gets stressed out from all the contractions and the mama gets very exhausted from the painful contractions because of the Pitocin or whatever they're given, and then it ends up in a C-section. And the doctors, I've been told, allegedly, that the doctors almost are like forcing an induction and a C-section on mothers, like without it being necessary. And this is just like conjecture. This is not me saying like there's proof of this. This is just what I've heard from a lot of mamas in specifically, I would say, other countries that I've talked to. But here I did kind of talk to them like, I'm really intimidated if you're gonna induce me that you're gonna just send me for a C-section if it's not working. And she was saying, don't worry, like we don't want to give you a C-section, like we really don't want to. And anything that they decide, it's not like they're just gonna come in the room and be like, this is happening. They said they come in, they talk to you about it, they give you the options, and you decide together with your medical team, because I am going to be giving birth in a hospital, with your medical team, like what the best course of action is and things like that. Also, she was saying if the baby's heart rate is dipping or dropping, before they rush you in for a C-section or anything, they're gonna try to change your position. They're gonna try to do a couple different things, maybe take you off the Pitocin for a bit or take out the Cervidil, whatever induction method they're trying, see if that helps. And then of course, if baby is seeming like they're not doing good, they're not gonna fit, anything like that, then of course they would do what's necessary and send you in for a C-section. But I do feel a lot better knowing that I'm not just going to be like intimidated or forced into it by all the stories that I've heard. So I'm feeling a lot better about that, thankfully, because I was really stressed out, and stress can actually prohibit, is that the word? Why do I keep using that word? Stress can actually stop labor from happening because it puts hormones in your body that is the opposite of what you need for labor. So it's kind of funny because you're stressed out that you're not going into labor, but it's causing you to not go into labor. You know what I'm saying? Anywho, so I need to try to be calm and just whatever happens, happens. At this point, I've just been telling myself like I'm going in for an induction. I'm really hoping I can go into labor naturally on my own in the next 2 days. But if not, it looks like I'm going in for induction, and I just hope for a safe and healthy delivery. And it looks like my birth plan is probably going to change, but that's okay, because a birth plan, I always say, is called a plan for a reason. It is going to change more than likely. Birth is very unknown and things happen unexpectedly. Every situation is different. So it's a good idea to have a birth plan. It's a great idea, but remember, you need to be open to the idea that things might change quickly. And, you know, personally, part of my birth plan, for example, is taking no pain medication. And my doctor said sometimes if the baby's heart rate is dropping and you're on Pitocin or oxytocin, which is on the IV drip, I believe, then they might need to give the mama some type of pain relief medication through the IV to help calm down the baby a little bit and help relax the baby to help their heart rate. So in that case, of course, if it's more beneficial for my baby, then give that to my baby, or to me, I guess, to give to my baby. But I mean, everywhere you go is different. Where I live, the pain options so far that I was told are fentanyl and morphine. and then epidural obviously, but fentanyl and morphine. Epidural is a no for me. I'm absolutely terrified of needles, and I know people say it's not that bad, but like I would much rather give birth unmedicated like my first 100 times than get one epidural. Like I just, oh, it freaks me out so much. Same with the IV, but the epidural just freaks me out. So that's just my personal preference. I know so many people that swear by getting an epidural, and they say like it was amazing, it was the best thing, they would highly recommend it, and that's awesome. I'm so glad it worked for them, but for me it is like a huge fear of mine. Epidural, getting Pitocin is another fear of mine, and oxytocin, and a C-section. So like all those things are freaking me out, and whatever happens happens, as long as the baby and I come out like healthy and fine. But it is really kind of scary and intimidating, and the hard thing is I have a toddler. I have an almost 4-year-old, and she lives with me, so it's really hard because it's unknown. Am I going to go into labor today or tomorrow, or am I going to go in for an induction on Sunday or Monday, and it's going to take 3 days, and then you stay in the hospital for 1 to 2 nights? That is like a week-long process if it goes all the way to that. So it's really hard when you have a little one at home. During COVID times, it's not as easy to send her, you know, to someone's house. She does have her dad that she can stay with, so it's a little bit more complicated. Thank goodness I have a lot of support there. So obviously, like I said, her dad and my parents can help out and things like that. But just as a mama in general, you still think about your other children. So it is a little bit like, oh man, if it takes a week, that's a long time to be without, first of all, without my daughter, because like I said, she lives with me, so I see her pretty much every day. And otherwise, I don't know, it just like feels a little weird. But whatever happens, happens. In a week from now will be Friday. So next Friday, I'm hoping I have little baby in my arms by then. We will see what happens, but I'm just crossing my fingers and hoping. So if you are in a similar situation, I understand how frustrating and stressful it can be, and you are not alone. I know I feel like everyone had their baby early and is having their baby, and I'm just sitting here like, nope. But it will happen. I promise it will happen. And you're doing awesome. Just keep going. You've got this. We've got this. And yeah, I wish you all the best, happy and safe delivery. Let me know in the comments below how far along you are, what symptoms you're having, anything that I said. Maybe you have like a positive induction story or maybe a negative one. I mean, I prefer the positive birth stories just because I'm a little intimidated, but by the time that you're seeing this video, because I am pre-filming these like on the date and posting them a couple weeks later, so by the time you're seeing this, the baby will already be here. But that being said, hopefully this is my last update. I probably would only be like updating you more in the birth vlog, and that would be it, like the induction birth vlog, I guess. So that is that. I will see you in my next video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all quite soon. Bye.